Houston neighborhood has been housing a deadly secret for years, according to homeowners and experts. All of it finally being exposed after a massive number of residents were diagnosed with cancer, some even dying from it.
I watched my mom die from cancer. I lost my brother-in-law, my husband. I said all of them died from cancer.
But only certain neighborhoods bear the brunt.
For decades, residents living in the 5th Ward and Kashmir Garden area have noticed high instances of cancer. Many in the community say generations of families have been exposed to cancer-causing chemicals in soil and groundwater. As a result, community members say loved ones have died of cancer or have come down with other health issues.
Poor Black and brown communities are experiencing more of the burdens of environmental injustice and which we call environmental racism as well.
Houston is like, it's the kind of the point where a lot of the pipelines come together. Houston is a huge exporter of a lot of the oil, gas, petrochemical, and all the adjacent sort of supplies that come from there. So like in my hometown of El Paso, Texas, is where they do a lot of the fracking and where they have a lot of the infrastructure is less consolidated in one big factory, but spread out over hundreds and thousands of square miles.
We are learning much more about the massive fire that broke out at the Shell refinery on the Ship Channel. We now know that 15, not 9 people, were actually sent to hospitals after that fire to be treated and then released.
Shell's also saying they were forced to send excess runoff water used to fight the flames into the Houston Ship Channel, as much as 11,000 gallons a minute of wastewater.
There's a disproportionate amount of petrochemical industry. Those industries pollute the air, they pollute the soil, they pollute the water, and mainly Black communities. So you have to have somewhere to play. You have to have somewhere to where your toxic business can proliferate. And you can't do that in affluent communities. And so land ownership is key to them being able to proliferate cancerous substances in the air, the water, and in the ground. And so by them then really taking up shop in areas near Black and brown communities, essentially they are able to then get imports and exports of these substances and some of the everyday things that we use, but also to be able to poison communities for exports to foreign countries.
People at home see a neighborhood.
Right, yes, sir.
What do you see here?
I see a bad problem.
I see a clutter, a mess, and death.
Good afternoon. My name is Peggy Lee, and I've been living here since 2012. It's so overwhelming, and I lose my voice, and I just have to do so many things to try to just keep a normal activity going.
Do you know of any other tenants that have experienced symptoms?
Yes, I do. I know some of my friends here, yes, and some have moved out. Now, I gather we are surrounded by this because on the left side, going down Prickendall, you can see. Behind us, they have the walls. But at the mill facilities here, at one day, we heard an explosion and we saw in the back where something had exploded and it started a fire. So it's just that you never know when something's going to happen. Never was informed on what it was, but we could see it. I lived in DC, and Washington is very humid in the summer. Didn't have issues with that. I lived in New York for I can't tell you how many years. Didn't have any issues. Only every once in a while, my sinus would act up. The allergies weren't as bad. And in Virginia, Houston has been the worst.
In the foreground of this image, you can see the Houston neighborhood of Manchester. In the background, there are multiple plumes of unidentified gases coming from a petroleum refinery operated by Valero Energy Corporation. This single refinery emits millions of pounds of poisonous and carcinogenic gases every year.
We're here today in the Manchester neighborhood, learning about this community and learning about the environmental justice challenges that it faces here on the Houston Ship Channel and home to one of the largest concentrations of petrochemical facilities in the nation. History of this community goes all the way back 14,000 years ago when the Karankawa Indians lived and fished in this area. This community, Manchester, was founded in 1850. This is well before the beginning of the oil boom in the 1890s. It's well before the Houston Ship Channel was dredged in 1911. The petrochemical industry grew up around this community. And today, Manchester is about 450 homes. It is isolated here, surrounded on one side by the Ship Channel, the 610 highway, surrounded on this side by a tank farm, the Valero oil refinery here, and the Port Terminal Rail Authority, which is a switch yard to the south of us. This community is completely surrounded by industry now. Every single day, the people who live here are exposed to 12 toxic chemicals, including 7 carcinogens. These people deserve better. They were here first. They founded this community. They lived along the Buffalo Bayou for decades before industry came in.
But currently we have a system in which gives a lot of our public dollars to these private entities under the guise of it serves the public good, the public interest. But the reality shows is they're leaving us a lot of pollution, leaving us long-term legacy pollution, and they're taking our money, and if anything, we're paying for this pollution to occur in our own communities.
Today, ExxonMobil brought the community together to mark the official startup of the Blade expansion at its downtown refinery.
The Blade project will help the refinery process crude from West Texas, turning it into diesel and gasoline. ExxonMobil says the project also put $500 million back into the Southeast Texas economy in terms of new jobs. Congressman Randy Weber was there for today's celebration. He tells us the crude expansion is necessary to avoid another 1973 oil crisis. The expansion has made ExxonMobil's Beaumont plant the second largest refinery in the United States.
The Houston Health Department says a study has found plumes of carcinogenic formaldehyde is coming out in neighborhoods along Houston's Ship Channel, and Houston's mayor is concerned that this leaves many families of color at particular risk, high risk.
Not far from here, tucked right in between schools and neighborhoods, there's a silent threat lurking in Freeport, Texas. This little community is home to 2 of the most hazardous chemicals in the U.S., phosgene and chlorine gas.
The east side of town, where the majority of minority people were ordered in 1932 to stay. It ain't like they chose to stay there. They were ordered by the city government of Freeport, by C.D. Collins, that the black people that lived on the rear of the master property had to move to the east side of Freeport, Texas. So they took them and put them all over there, took their homes and everything, not invest back into that community where people had to hide their titles to their land and their money, dig holes and put it in the ground because they were out to take what belongs to the minority community over here, their homes and stuff. No, just by taking it, they wanted to take it because they didn't want them to have the land. The port never wanted us to have, the black people to have that land over there at all. So they finally got it back within a 100-year plan, which in the 100-year plan for Freeport, which is 75 years already, they have the port, they have the east end. Now, in the 100-year plan is to take the whole total city of Freeport. That means they will buy everybody out and they will move you out to make this part of the Gulf Coast the biggest shipping terminal in the United States of America. So what they're doing now is finding all kind of ways to get the people to move. That's why they don't invest back into the community. because they're gonna let it go down. That way the poor can do what they did to us and to the minority people in the East End and say it's not viable. And by them saying it's not economically viable, they can come in and condemn your whole community. They can condemn your whole community, throw at you. If you don't accept it, they can jail you. Because I got jailed because I wasn't taking the money. My grandmother worked too hard, so they jailed me. And they took the church and my property. What they looking at is the dollar that they can make. Right. And they don't care how they get it. If they have to walk on you, and but Freeport and Brazoria County has a structure of leadership that's a pay-to-play structure of leadership. Stem all the way from Gladney. Organized crime has always come out of our county. But I stand as a wedge in between them all, because I'm going to hold truth to power. So when you look at what's going on with Dow here, Dow been in Freeport since 1920 something. Dow been in Freeport since the 1920s. The first industry in Freeport was S.A.F.E Chemical, which was being, well, it's got on the build in the 1800s when Freeport was formed through S.A.F.E Chemical. So S.A.F.E Chemical was the one bringing the sulfur through. So then Dow came in, that makes Dow been in the city of Freeport for 105 years. That's how long Dow been in the city of Freeport. And Dow dictates everything that happens in the city.
The oil and gas industry, you see how like extractive they are outside of just like poisoning like the land, the water, and the air. It's like when Dow, when Chevron, when Total, like when they want to build something, our city, our state, they're giving them all of our tax dollars. Specifically in Freeport, they receive like $2.16 billion in Brazoria County. And so it's like, if you look around this county, like where could that $2.16 billion go? It could go to fixing the roads. It could go toward disaster relief. Like when there are hurricanes, when there are storms that are like initiated by a lot of just like a lot of like the climate change that's happening in the environment. There are no resources for people to recover. Well, they say that there are no resources. They've stolen our resources.
Actually, what I've seen an impact probably has been on the prosperity part of it. Because Angleton itself has a lot of employees of some of these companies. And of course, through them, of course, they give to the church and the churches flourish. But also you have to understand, because we're flourishing, maybe on the back end, that people are hurting.
Finally, these industries have ran away from climate change and the climate crisis for so long that they can't run anymore, and they have to confront it. But instead of saying, okay, we need to check our own industries, our own oil and gas sort of emissions, they're trying to come up with the newest, latest scheme to disguise their latest project as clean, green, renewable energy, right? And so that looks like a thing called carbon capture, where they can capture somehow the pollution that's coming into the ground and store it. Sometimes they just want to store it in a tank. Other times they want to bury it into the ground for hundreds and thousands of years and pretend like it's going to stay there. They've been trying to do this already, and in West Texas, they just recently had over 50 earthquakes in less than a week.
One thing that we can do is what we're doing now, which is dialogue, having exchange, and then understanding that the dialogue in our households is important. Like, what do we teach our children? What conversations are we having with our immediate family? And then outside of that, like understanding how our local municipalities are, or what's their involvement. And I think we have an opportunity to actually show up to city council meetings, to show up at the local level, to show up to state meetings, and even show up to federal convenings to say, this is what I want in my community, and here's what I don't want.